Good morning. I'm so glad that I all know you. This is my first time after 31 years here to speak in front of everyone. And after my cataract surgery next Wednesday and Monday following, I will actually see what the new people really look like. Yeah, if I had spoken before on a Sunday, I was always thinking about the subject of human immortality, but Bob Dylan is a close second. I know that my friend Walt Curtis is here with me. I used to sing to him in his apartment, go over, take my guitar, sing to him, and then he'd read poetry to me out the corner. The taqueria, man. Oh, he's such a good friend. He was born the same year as Dylan. Dylan has a never-ending tour. He's still touring at 82 years old. 365 days a year, he performs at least half of that time, and he's 82 years old. He's still looking for shelter from the storm, I think. I'm going to start off with a song, She Belongs to Me. Maybe he wrote it about Joan Baez, I don't know, but he sang it in 1965 when I was a sophomore in high school. And this harmonica rack, I have no predictions about it, but it's so Dylan-esque. Okay, here we go. She's got everything she wants. She's an artist. She don't look bad. She's got everything she needs. She's an artist. She don't look bad. She can take the dark out of the nighttime, paint the daytime black. You will start out standing, proud to steal her anything she sees. You will start out standing, proud to steal her anything she sees. But you'll wind up peeking through her keyhole down upon your knees. Ah, she never stumbles, she's got no place to fall. She never stumbles, she's got no place to fall. She's nobody's child, the law can't touch her at all. She wears an Egyptian ring that sparkles before she speaks. She wears an Egyptian ring that sparkles before she speaks. She's a hypnotist collector, you are a walking antique. Bow down to her on Sunday, salute her when her birthday comes. Bow down to her on Sunday, salute her when her birthday comes. For Halloween, buy a trumpet, for Christmas, give her a drum. Thank you. I'm going to read about 4 poems, and the last one was going to be Shelter from the Storm, but since we already did that, I'm going to switch to another one that's a really heavy one called It's All Right, Ma, I'm Only Bleeding. It's one of his best. It's just amazing as lyrics or as a poem. Yeah, he did win the Nobel Prize, about 7 years ago, and I still am trying to get my head around that. His good friend Judy Collins doesn't agree with that even happened, and Joni Mitchell, another one of his good friends, doesn't think that his music has been any good in the last 20 years. But they all love him and they all respect him. He's a very influential person, and he was Robert Zimmerman from Hibbing, Minnesota, way up near the Canadian border, and he was bar mitzvahed and all kinds of stuff. And then in the 70s, he went through he found Jesus and the Messiah, and then he switched back again. And at that time, I was working at a JCC in the edge of Hollywood, LA, for about a year and a half. And so I heard a lot of comments from people. The second one here is kind of like early beat, Subterranean Homesick Blues. It's like a chant, and the documentary Don't Look Back, around 65, Ginsberg is in the background with a cane and his long beard, and Dylan is holding cue cards and with the words of this song, which is like a early rap, you might say. I can't do Dylan as well as Joan Baez can, but it'll come out a little bit, I hope, just for the rhythm's sake of this piece. John is in the basement, mixing up the medicine. I'm on the pavement, thinking about the government. The man in the trench coat, badge out, laid off, says he's got a bad cough, wants to get paid off. Look out, kid, it's something you did. God knows when, but you're doing it again. You better duck down the alleyway, looking for a new friend. The man in the coonskin cap and the big pen wants $11 bills. You only got 10. Maggie comes fleet-foot, face full of black soot, talking that the heat put plants in the bed, but the phone's tapped anyway. Maggie says many say they must bust an early May. Orders from the DA, look out, kid, no matter what you did. Walk on your tiptoes, don't try no doze. Better stay a while away from those who fire the fire hose. Keep a clean nose, watch the plane close. You don't need a weatherman to which way the wind blows. It's a tongue twister. Now the third one is simply a love song to his girlfriend from Hibbing, Minnesota. He used to go around on a motorcycle when he was a teenager, and he sang this in Nashville Skyline with Johnny Cash. He was so influential, if you look on YouTube, you'll find Joan Baez singing with Earl Scruggs, the famous banjo player of Flats and Scruggs, up in the Portola Valley, and with his sons. And also Scruggs started to befriended Dylan. And it was because I was 15 years old. I was a beatnik before I was a hippie, and I had read Rambo, and I listened to Odetta and Pete Seeger and stuff. But then Dylan came along, and then I discovered Ginsberg and all these other things that I didn't know about, and I realized I was a true beatnik before I was a hippie. This is just a simple love song, Girl of the North Country. I believe it's also 1963. Well, if you're traveling in the North Country Fair, where the winds hit heavy on the borderline, remember me to one who lives there. She once was a true love of mine. Well, if you go where the snowflakes storm, when the rivers freeze and summer ends, please see if she's wearing a coat so warm to keep her from the howling winds. Please see for me if her hair hangs low, if her hair hangs long, if it rolls and flows all down her breast. Please see for me if her hair hangs long. That's the way I remember her best. I'm wondering if she remembers me at all. Many times I've often prayed in the darkness of my night, in the brightness of my day. So if you're traveling in the North Country Fair, where the winds hit heavy on the borderline. Remember me to one who lives there. She once was a true love of mine. I also started listening to the Carter family, and you grew up, you're the same generation, Joni Mitchell, Joan Baez, Buffy St. Marie, Judy Collins. And I knew a singer, Ronnie Blakely, who she was nominated for Academy Award for Nashville in the 70s, and I went to school with her brother at Lewis and Clark, so I knew her, and she was amazing, and she sang some of Joni Mitchell's songs. And it's just, those days will never come again, but this is part of my generation. I think that Dylan broke, or at least Sweden thinks so, that they broke the genre somehow, and that lyrics from the song tradition of the US became literature in their eyes. And that's a wonderful thing, to break genres and to think outside of the box, finally transcend your audience, so to speak. And I personally believe that these English groups like, Moody Blues and U2 and Pink Floyd and Elvis Costello, and things like that they're like the new Blakes and Wadsworths of the English language over the last 50 years. So I already kind of thought this. So, as far as Dylan being political, he really did shun trying to be a spokesman. His most famous songs, like Blowin' in the Wind and Times Are a Changin', are the biggest exponents of this new generation, but he didn't want to be that person. He didn't want to have that tag on him. So he became even more mysterious. But I remember watching English television, and they were talking about this song, lyrics to this song, as if it were poetry. And this was 20 years ago, before he won the Nobel Prize. And it's called The Lonesome Death of Hattie Carroll. I've seen Dylan in film sing this song in a very self-conscious way, but it's a beautiful message and just wonderful. The Lonesome Death of Hattie Carroll, 1964. William Zanziger killed poor Hattie Carroll with a cane that he twirled around his diamond ring finger at a Baltimore hotel society gathering, and the cops were called in and his weapon took from him as they rode him in custody down to the station and booked William Zanziger for first-degree murder. But you who philosophize disgrace and criticize all fears, take the rag away from your face. Now ain't the time for your tears. William Zanziger, who at 24 years owned a tobacco farm of 600 acres with rich, wealthy parents who provide and protect him, and high office relations in the politics of Maryland, reacted to his deed with a shrug of his shoulders and swear words and sneering. In his tongue it was snarlin'. In a matter of minutes, on bail, was out walking. But you who philosophize disgrace and criticize all fears, take the rag away from your face. Now ain't the time for your tears. Hattie Carroll was a maid of the kitchen. She was 51 years old and gave birth to 10 children who carried the dishes and took out the garbage and never sat once at the head of the table and didn't even talk to the people at the table, who just cleaned up all the food from the table and emptied the ashtrays on a whole other level, got killed by a blow, lay slain by a cane that sailed through the air and came down through the room, doomed and determined to destroy all the gentle, and she never done nothing to William Zanziger. But you, who philosophize disgrace and criticize all fears, take the rag away from your face. Now ain't the time for your tears. Now, I was reading this just this morning, It's All Right, Ma, I'm Only Bleeding. He sang it at a concert, I think it's in D minor or something when he sings it, and I remember Ginsberg was in the audience, and all these guys like Ginsberg and Ferlinghetti, they thought that Dylan was carrying the torch for them into the next stage of the beat generation, you know. So I'll read this to end today, and It's All Right, Ma, I'm Only Bleeding. It's kind of like I was reading, and it's kind of like where little short half rhymes and alliteration, of course, but it's kind of like where Emily Dickinson meets Walt Whitman or something like that. Pretty amazing. It's All Right, Ma, I'm Only Bleeding is the title. Darkness at the break of noon, shadows, even the silver spoon, the handmade blade, the child's balloon, ellipses both the sun and moon. To understand, you know too soon. There is no sense in trying. Pointed threats, they bluff with scorn. Suicide remarks are torn from the fool's gold mouthpiece. The hollow horn plays wasted words, proves to warn that he, not busy being born, is busy dying. Temptation's page flies out the door. You follow, find yourself at war. Watch waterfalls of pity roar. You feel to moan, but unlike before, you discover that you'd just be one more person crying. In some worn victory, some downfall, private reasons, great or small, can be seen in the eyes of those that call to make all that should be killed, to crawl, while others say don't hate nothing at all except hatred. Disillusioned words like bullets bark as human gods aim for their mark, make everything from toy guns that spark to flesh-colored Christs that glow in the dark. It's easy to see without looking too far that not much is really sacred. While preachers preach of evil fates, teachers teach the knowledge waits, can lead to $100 plates. Goodness hides behind its gates, but even the President of the United States sometimes must have to stand naked. And though the rules of the road have been lodged, it's only people's games that you got to dodge. And it's all right, Ma, I can make it. So don't fear if you hear a foreign sound to your ear. It's all right, Ma, I'm only sighing. Advertising signs, they con you into thinking you're the one that can do what's never been done, that can win what's never been won. Meantime, life outside goes on all around you. You lose yourself, you reappear, you suddenly find you got nothing to fear. Alone you stand with nobody near, when a trembling, distant voice, unclear, startles your sleeping ears to hear that somebody thinks they really found you. A question in your nerves is lit, yet you know there is no answer fit to satisfy, ensure you not to quit, to keep it in your mind and not forget that it is not he or she or them or it that you belong to. Although the masters make the rules for the wise men and the fools, I got nothing, Ma, to live up to. For them that must obey authority that they do not respect in any degree, who despise their jobs, their destinies, speak jealously of them that are free, cultivate their flowers to be nothing more than something they invest in. While some on principles baptized to strict party platform ties, social clubs and drag disguise, outsiders they can freely criticize, tell nothing except who to idolize. And they say, God bless him. While one who sings with his tongue on fire gargles in the rat race choir, bent out of shape from society's pliers, cares nothing to come up any higher, but rather get you down in the hole that he's in. Oh, lady judges, watch, but I mean no harm, nor put fault on anyone that lives in a vault. But it's all right, Ma, if I can't please him. Old lady judges watch people in pairs, limited in sex, they dare to push fake morals, insult and stare, while money doesn't talk, it swears. Obscenity, who really cares? Propaganda is all is phony. While them that defend what they cannot see with a killer's pride, security, it blows the minds most bitterly. For them that think death's honesty won't fall upon them naturally, life sometimes must get lonely. My eyes collide, head on with stuffed graveyards, false gods. I scuff at pettiness, which plays so rough, walk upside down inside handcuffs, kick my legs to crash it off, say, okay, I have had enough. What else can you show me? And if my thought dreams could be seen, they'd probably put my head in a guillotine. But it's all right, Ma. It's life and life only. That's really beautiful. Yeah. That's it. Thank you very much. Long live Dylan.